Joining the show now is Tyvis Powell, who was out at Browns training camp in Berea this weekend. Tyvis, we spent the first 20 minutes of the show talking about Todd Monken's decision to give Deshaun Watson the quarterback 1 reps on Saturday after telling the media that it was a Shedeur Sanders day. Before we dive into the rest, what was your take on Todd possibly intentionally misleading everyone with who was going to be the QB1 and then making the switch to Deshaun Watson?
Obviously, I don't love it. I mean, I always, if you're going to say that you're going to do something, continue to do that, And I think that ultimately the biggest truth teller of all this will be those preseason games. As I continue to say, the preseason games and the one joint practice against the Bills will be the biggest eye-opening thing for who your quarterback should and could be for this season. I would have continued to kept on rotating, but obviously there was something that Todd Monken wanted to see. Not just Todd, maybe the OC wanted to see something as well. So they made the switch. Though I thought Shedeur handled himself really well, because if somebody tell me that right before practice, 45 minutes before practice start, it could rock your entire world and you can go out there and have a bad practice. But I thought Shedeur responded well. See, I think the thing that gets lost in this whole thing about Deshaun Watson having a good day is people look at it as Shedeur had a bad day. That wasn't the case. Shedeur actually was threading the needle as well. I think he had one bad pass that entire day that I didn't agree with. Outside of that, I thought he was locked in. I thought his mindset was right because he seemed like he was upset about it. And he definitely went out there and tried to showcase why he should be quarterback 1.
Tyvis, you might have just touched on something inadvertently. Maybe that's why he lied. Maybe it was a test. How will Shedeur handle this? I'm gonna upset him with some bad news that he's not gonna like. Is he mature? Has he matured from last year? Is he gonna take this and run with it, or is he gonna come out and pout and have a bad day? So if it was a test, and you're saying he played well, then perhaps he passed it. 2 questions for you. 1, did they ever have Tyvis Powell Day at any of your training camps?
What is that? What is Tyvis Powell?
Well, I'm told that this was Shedeur Sanders Day. Did they ever have Tyvis Powell Day?
I mean, that's where they dropped the ball at, Jay. Could you imagine if they would have had a Tyvis Powell Day, all the people that would have showed up for that?
I would have been there. Second question,
been the best day on earth.
Were you ever lied to by any of your coaches? Just out and out lied?
Yeah, so they lied.
It's not uncommon, is it?
What?
Right?
Everybody
That's what Jason and I established in the first segment. Coaches lie.
Tyvis, I've maintained for years, no player trusts any organization ever.
Period.
That's a fact. You can't because at the end of the day, they're gonna do what's best for them. They will look you right in your eyes and tell you a bald-faced lie. God. And the thing is, I will always tell everybody, as I was telling G and Earl, like the thing about the NFL and me being there is that you know what's going on. Like they can't hide it. They can tell you one thing or another, but actions speak louder than words. You can see exactly what's going on. You just got to open your eyes and see what it is. Yep. So, for this situation right here, again, I thought that Shedeur Sanders did a really good job. I've been in that situation where I was running with this might have happened to me. This happened to me mid-game. We was playing. I was in San Francisco. We was going up against Houston. And I was with the 2s all that training camp. And then we get to the game and they say, hey, you going with the 3s. And I looked at them like, excuse me? And so I actually had an attitude, but it actually allowed me to play a lot better. But I was upset the entire game so much that I made a play. And, they all trying to celebrate with me. And I'm like, nah, I'm not even jumping up.
Don't touch me. Don't touch me.
I'm going to punish all you guys.
Don't touch my body. Get away from me.
Like I said, I've been there, so I know exactly how you feel. And I thought he responded in a really good way.
Well, Tyvis, on that note, I brought this up in the first segment. Was this perhaps Todd Monken's way of telling everybody, soft telling everybody that he's picked a starter and it's Deshaun or not?
I think that he maybe is leaning more towards picking Deshaun. I think that that's probably where he's at because, just talking to people up there, they all say that it's the biggest difference between the two is procedural, getting in and out of the huddle, getting everybody on that knowing what the job is and knowing what they got to do, getting everybody lined up and things like that. They say that right there, Shedeur kind of is delayed a tad bit when it comes to that. Whatever that means, So they say, for example, the example that they was giving me was that one day they were on the field, they had Deshaun on one field, Shedeur on the other field. They ran the exact same play script, and Deshaun was 3 plays ahead of Shedeur.
Oh, wow.
They said that he was faster at getting guys in and out of the huddle. That, to me, they say that that's the one thing that's in the way of Shedeur. When it comes to arm talent and all those other things, to me, it's really not that big of a difference there. But I tell everybody, the one thing that I would say about Shedeur Sanders is that he's much more of a gamer. And that's not what you want as a coach. I mean, obviously you do, but you want to see it in practice. Shedeur Sanders, from what we heard last year, he was one of the worst quarterbacks there. He couldn't get things right. He was struggling with this and that, picking up the playbook, all this and that. And then we go see him in the Carolina game, in the first preseason game, and he looks absolutely great. He's threading the needle between triple coverage and double coverage and scoring and doing things like that. So to me, I think Shedeur Sanders is much of a gamer. And when it comes to Deshaun Watson, the one thing that we caution ourselves with is this guy hasn't played football in 2 years. So that game speed is different. To me, I think that what happens in these preseason games matters the most of what we see in practice. I think that, to me, that's why I'm cautious. Everybody's like, it's signed, sealed, and delivered. Deshaun got the job. I'm like, whoa. We got some games coming up. We'll see what goes on there, because I think if Shedeur Sanders is down, he could make some leeway by being able to perform well in these games. So I think that if I'm tied, I would continue to give them both one of each a preseason start, see how it goes, see how that offense is going. And I think as fans, we'll see it. That offense will be clicking, it'll be moving, the ball will be going up and down the field, stuff like that. And if whoever's getting that done and getting production out of these guys, that's your starting quarterback.
Tyvis, I wholeheartedly agree. I think sometimes there's a no nonsense thing meter that goes off in your head when you play, and I know we because we're in social media, we cover all the snaps and all the first team reps, but it's almost as if we started putting framing around the things that's going on in practice. And one of the things that I told you, and we were sitting there at practice, I said, man, they throwing a lot of outs. They throwing a lot of little crossing routes. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. They throwing a lot of check down Charlie. They're putting and installing, right? They're installing things, right? And they doing things, and it's very basic. The thing that I want to see, and I think the thing that's most important, and you keep saying, is, yeah, we can talk about this practice, but it's different when you going against another grown man that's trying to get a job. When you're trying to go out there, and that speed of the game is boom, 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 boom. Yeah, you can look, and Deshaun is looking cool today, or Shedeur looking, but I want to see it when it count in these football games. So to me, yes, I can hear people's disappointed with the reps, but always understanding this too. The bulk of what it is going to be that game. If this is a class, guess what? 25% might be a quiz. 25% may be a paper, but the final is worth 50. So yeah, you can cook in that little 25% period and you install, but we need to see it in the games and against these scrimmages against the Bills.
Yeah, I think that ultimately everybody that understands football understands that, practice is a thing. And I get it from a coach's standpoint. I'm not going to sit here and be naive. If I don't see it in practice, it's hard for me to believe that somebody's going to get it in the game. But there is a handful of guys that is like. Exactly. I was like that too in Seattle. My coach told me, my coach, Andre Curtis, shout out to Coach Dre. He goes, we go through preseason, not preseason, we go through training camp and all those things. We get to the first game going up against Kansas City, and I'm with the threes, maybe some twos. I'm with the twos or the threes. I can't remember exactly what I am at safety. But he didn't have a lot of faith in me because in practice, I was really big on protect your teammates, so it was a lot of balls in the air that I didn't go after because I didn't want to do collisions and stuff like that. So my coach was like, we'll see. So I get out there and I absolutely kill it in my first preseason game. And we get back to practice that next week, and he goes, I ain't gonna lie, Pa. I ain't gonna lie. I was a little bit worried about you. I didn't know you was a gamer, because I didn't really see it from you in practice. So you kind of shocked me when you got to that game. So there's a lot of people out there that in practice, that's not their thing. They get to the game and it just clicks for them. And, there's a handful of guys that's like that. And I guess we'll find out, if Shedeur is that, which I think he showed us that he kind of is like that. I guess, again, that's his way of trying to close the gap and maybe even overtaking it. But if Deshaun Watson does what we seen him do Saturday and what he done that day where he had 7 touchdowns in practice, if that's who he is against Chicago and Buffalo, then that'd probably be your starting quarterback for the season.
Ty, let them get back to the quarterback questions in a second, but you have been out at practice a bunch. Other than the quarterbacks, in your opinion, who's been the biggest camp standout thus far of the non-quarterbacks?
I tell you what, we need to get some health on that D tackle spot. That to me, you got Mike Hall out, Mason Graham out, Malik Collins out, and to me, that's a spot that they got to get figured out. A guy that's standing out to me, well, you know, you got Denzel Boston and Casey Concepcion.
Go ahead and say it. Go ahead and say it. You was out there again, Denzel Boston. Go ahead and say that.
First of all, hold on. I'm glad it was since you want to go there. So we seen Denzel Boston line up against Denzel Ward a handful of times, and Earl the Pearl made sure he pointed out every single time that it was Denzel on Denzel. Guess how many times Denzel Boston was targeted when Denzel Ward was on him? 0. You're absolutely right. So therefore,
he was counting too.
I have to see it on Denzel Ward, but they definitely went after my boy Rose. And that's I think they still got to figure out that third corner spot. That's still an issue there. That's a glaring issue. Who else stood out? I like Spencer Fano. I thought that he turned it around after him and Jared Verse got into it. You know, he showed a few reps. Yeah, me too. I love the fact that they didn't kick him out of practice. They let them keep going. You know, he definitely showed up and shut him down on a couple of reps after that. So I like the offensive line. That was a place that I was a little worried about at the beginning of camp when they didn't have pads on. Now after seeing them with pads on and seeing them have that play it period, I'm like, okay, that D-line, that offensive line is starting to really figure it out, which comes with timing. Running back, I can't really tell with Quinshon. I think he's going to be great as long as that offensive line is good. I think he got great practice habits and things like that. Doing a great job of catching the ball out the backfield. Dale Pitt cannot catch, and it's really bothering me. I watched this man drop 2 picks so far in practice, and I told y'all the one thing that I have with him is that he doesn't get takeaways, and when they hit you square in the numbers, you got to be able to capitalize on them. I think EMW is going to be a really good player. He's had some flashes and made some moves that I'm like, okay, it's definitely in there. Ronnie Hickman, I would like to see more out of. I think he needs a strong preseason to have me confident going into the regular season. Who else am I forgetting here?
You named everyone, Ty. I think I asked for one camp standout. You just gave me 8. I appreciate it. That's perfect.
Good.
He
up here sounding like Phil Steele.
Everybody good.
Everybody.
Hey, I'm not here. I don't know what happened there, but I lost him.
That's all right. We got you, Ty. Everybody else can hear you.
And Andre Schmidt is gonna be good. I think I seen him miss like 1 or 2 kicks, but outside of that, he's been pretty money.
Ty, I gotta. You know, you talk about quarterbacks. We talk about Shedeur. Would you say like he's struggling to get him in and out of the huddle and get him lined up? This is quarterback 101. Mm-hmm. And I talked about this last year. The offensive lineman couldn't understand his cadence. They couldn't hear his cadence. That's part of the reason they had so many false starts. And I know like cadence has been a big topic of conversation again. Like, I don't understand. I never played quarterback in the NFL. This is step 1. How can you be good at step 7 when you can't master step 1?
I'm right there with you. You know, I was, as the people was telling me about this cadence thing and all the getting them in
That's
and out of the huddle.
That's 100% true. That was true last year.
I said to myself, well, give him a wristband. Like, what are we talking about here? Just let him read off the wristband. And they said, Tyvis, he is reading off the wristband. And I'm like, well, then it just doesn't make sense then. I'm not understanding it. Now, the thing I will say, and I'm giving him grace on this part, is that he's not it's a new offense. So everybody else needs to learn their stuff too, you know? So a lot of the times, if it's about people lining up wrong, well, that's on them too. Like that, I understand as a quarterback, that ultimately comes down to him and it falls in his lap. But like, come on now. If you see that he's struggling a little bit, you got to be able to know your stuff as well. So it's not all on him when it comes to that, but I get that he is the big part of that part of getting everybody lined up. So that's something there. And then as far as the cadence go, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I don't play quarterback, so I don't understand it. To me, I think it's as simple as reading off. If you're struggling to get the play out, you know, just read the card, you know, read whatever's on your wristband and then let's go from there. But if he's struggling with that, then I don't know, you know, I don't know what the problem is.
Ty, thanks for joining us, man. We'll see you later in the week. And we got to run. So thanks for your input.
I'll see y'all Wednesday.
And you're
Go
right.
Bucks.
San